Episode 57. Today we're going to talk about the real and rawness of what is going on with the effects of the coronavirus in the marketplace and our business. And we're going to get started right now.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
All right, episode 57. Thanks for joining us today. First and foremost, if you guys can go over to touracademy.com and check out our new pricing. We've sat down, we brainstormed. We actually didn't sit down, we Zoomed it because we practiced social distancing. But we came up with the best pricing strategy for today's marketplace, right? If you haven't seen it, go over to our Facebook page, The Only Real Estate Group Worth Being a Part of, and you will see that the video that we released talks about our new pricing over at Tour Academy. It is either $27 a month, which is lowered from $97, or it is $197 lifetime access. We're releasing new courses like how to sell houses virtually, right? This is something that's new. We're all struggling with it right now. So how can you run your business virtually? How can you sell houses virtually? And that's just one of the new courses that we are releasing over at Tour Academy, as well as you want to participate in our twice a month mastermind Zoom calls. There's a lot of gold being dropped there. So go over to touracademy.com, sign up, $27, or get the lifetime access, $197, right? This thing is huge. We're having a lot of new members take advantage of this. This is all temporary pricing. Once we're released back into the wilderness, right?
Think this shit is going to be like this forever? There's no way.
Yeah, we're gonna up our prices back up to normal. So go ahead, take advantage of this.
$1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month, because everyone's going to be rolling in the dough once they get out of their house. So, all right, fellas. Well, this is going to be an interesting show today.
Yeah,
right?
It's going to be a different show. I think it's going to be different and the same. And that's sort of what the theme of this show is that a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things have stayed the same. But I think a lot of people's mindsets are that everything has changed and the whole world is falling apart. So like, there's definitely some bad out there right now. Like, you know, and like Kelderman will jump in here in a second with some of the things that he's had to go through with some deals that have been in escrow and stuff. Like, we're definitely seeing the negative side effects right now. I'm also seeing a lot of people that it seems like subconsciously almost want this to be worse than it is. So they don't have they have an excuse just like not to work or whatever. Like, they just want to shut it down. It's like, it's basically like whenever the first day of December hits and everybody just shuts down their business for the rest of the year. That's what this feels like right now. Like, people like, oh, well, you know, nobody's moving till the spring, so I'm just going to, like, you know, eat candy canes all December or whatever. Like, that's sort of what this feels like. Like, it's almost like we want to shut it down in some areas. So it's been interesting, that's for sure.
It's just been like, I just kind of had this last week, had like my first like taste of the transactional side of kind of some of the coronavirus and you know, how it's affecting people. Because I had a client this morning. Whoops. Oh my goodness. Look at that.
Full contact podcast.
I know, right? I had a client this morning reach out to me that had been like, they'd been just completely laid off, right? And so they were looking to purchase a new home closing in May, I think. That's completely went away, right? And it's not, you know, I very honestly, I feel worse for them. I mean, she's totally fine. She believes that in September they're going to buy and everything's great. But the cool thing about doing this show over the past year and a half is when you go back and watch some of the episodes, you can see where our businesses have ebbed and flowed or where we've had struggles, because we have episodes like this where it's just like, I kind of got kicked in the nuts this last week. There was a lot of stuff going on, right? But then I was telling you guys before the show, there's other opportunities that our eyes have been open to because we've slowed down from a lot of the other stuff we're doing. And, you know, now it's like there's kind of other opportunities popping up, and that's exciting. So it's like this, I don't know, this weird emotion.
Well, and I'm interested to hear those opportunities, because what I'm looking at right now is to study and get better from the marketing side, right? You know, a lot of my mentors, you know, they're in the internet marketing space on top of their real estate business. And with all that, it is, we're seeing, all right, how can I go and build out this funnel, right? You know, and I hate using the funnel buzzword, but how can I build a complete system that that is going to help our real estate business, but also how can we then use it for our podcast? How can we use it for Tour Academy? How can we use it, how can we make this something, how can we learn something that can be universally beneficial for us and just a general business aspect, right?
I think that's been that's huge. I think that's the kind of an underlying opportunity in this whole thing is like, one, I see the first opportunity that I see right now is just pure damn hard work, because there's still tons of actual opportunity to scrape deals together right now. We just put a listing on the market on Monday. We had multiple offers on Wednesday, right? Like in Frisco, $300,000, like the most average, basic, like normal transaction you're going to put on the market, like not an investment property, not $1 million property, right there in the middle. Put it on, had showings. They had some virtual showings as well. Multiple offers, done deal, right? Like people are going to get tired of sitting at home, and they're going to want to take some sort of other avenue to finding or selling their home, right? Like, and so like there's a big opportunity right there to just stop pouting a little bit. And I know that sounds harsh, but like a lot of us are pouting right now. To stop pouting and figure out ways to continue to service your clients, right? Be it virtual tours, virtual open houses, or just doubling down on your relationship building. We've been telling our team the past few days, right? Like what used to count as contacts, we're still going to count as contacts in your lead gen. I'm also going to count every single person you reach out and try to help, right? As a contact for your lead gen, right? This is such an opportunity for you to just bank relationships and genuinely be of service to other people. And I'm not saying to do it for the money down the road, but I will say that the more that you help other people, like what is that, a Hal Elrod thing? Or maybe it's not, it's probably somebody way more famous than that. Quote, like the way to get to what you want is to help enough other people get what they want. I think it's Dale Carnegie. Drop a comment. I know both of those are probably wrong now that I think of it. Who said that? Like there's an opportunity just to go out and help people, which is huge right there. But then the learning aspect is the thing as well. Tremendous opportunity right now. Like I said this morning on our Power Up, I was like, every single one of you should be doing more personal growth and self-care and just learning about whatever it is that you want your niche to be, purely because your drive time has been cut out of every day. And that's going to give you a few hours that you didn't already have anyway, right? Like even if you're still doing everything that you need to do work-wise, you're still lead generating your butt off, you're still doing all that type of stuff. Like just simply the fact that you don't have to drive around all day, every day, that right there is putting time back in your pocket. If you're using that time to play video games, you guys will play Call of Duty later, by the way.
Absolutely.
Even if you're using all that time just to play video games, like that's going to stunt your growth. You, Nick, have taken it upon yourself to go, okay, we've got a little extra time on our hands right now. I'm going to learn how to build internet funnels on a level that I've never even known before. And that's the future of real estate marketing in the first place. So like there's an opportunity. Like it's weird how when the market is really busy, a lot of us are too scared to make moves. So we just train all day. Like I swear to God, in the summer, like every freaking training class at our office is just jam-packed, right? Like people just want to train, learn. Then whenever we have nothing to do but double down on our efforts or learn more things, we just kind of play video games instead or whatever the equivalent is of that. We pout or whatever, right? Like whatever it is that you don't know in your business that you want to know, you just got a free month to learn it. Like that's huge.
I was listening to Serhant yesterday on that webinar that Lab Code Agents put out. Mm-hmm. He said a bunch of good stuff, but one of the things that like, I don't know why this seems super profound, but he just very directly was like, guys, this is not vacation. It is a quarantine, right? Like this guy is talking about how he's talking to his 80-person team and he's like, you guys are not on vacation. This is not like a time to relax and back off. You need to approach it differently. But if you're looking at this as a time to pause and like whatever, and look, I'm loving the hell out of Brian said it earlier, I'm loving the hell out of the personal growth side of all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I've had a great opportunity to really just like take some stuff out and like look at it and examine it and, I've ordered a couple more books today, right? So like really trying to get that to become a habit in my day because there's really nothing else to distract you. Brian and I made a commitment to April we're going to focus on one thing with our social media stuff for the month of April. And we're just going to drill it into the point where by the time May 1st rolls around, it's going to be easy to do. Right now, it's going to be a whipping, right? But we'll figure out how to get more efficient at it over the next month, and we'll be a lot better, and everything will be better for it, right? So it's just taking time to really do the things that you've always said you didn't have time to do. I think that's the best.
When it's funny that you bring up the Ryan Serhant thing, is Elizabeth created a mastermind or kind of a forum for real estate agents on a Zoom call we had earlier. And that was kind of the talk of these people right now, just for whatever reason, just stopped working. They just shut down. And I don't know if they were just overwhelmed with what was going on with from the news, or there are some that are just they're fearful of what's happening and catching the virus. And so, but they're not, you're right, they're not using that time to better themselves. They're kind of binge watching television shows.
And that's fine. That's fine. But like Brian and I talked about earlier, we're solidly into week 3 of this with no end in sight till week 7 for sure. And probably closer to week 11 or week 12. That's right. Like thinking, that's the real reality of this. So like, if you can make excuses for 3 months, then I guess go ahead. Right. Like, I don't think you come out the other side of this with your real estate license in a real estate business if you embrace this whole quarantine as a time for a reset. Like, at some point you have got to figure out a way to work around this. And you had your first week of confusion and fear, right? Cool. I did the same thing. You had week 2 where you started to settle into some normalcy. If this is still a huge struggle for you to find time into week 3, man, you're going to have to figure it out, because you're going to be in trouble sooner than you think too.
The way I hadn't said it to our team, but the way that I want to articulate it is imagine that you're trying to move, you're trying to just drill rocks, right? Like you're like a construction worker and you got to drill through this big ass thing of rocks. You have a jackhammer, right? And that's your normal way of working. You plug in that jackhammer, you put gas and you crank it up and you just hammer through that stuff, right? That's your normal everyday thing. Well, what happened a few weeks ago is somebody took our jackhammer away and gave us a handheld sledgehammer, right? And they didn't say anything to us. They just took that hammer away, right? And they gave us the sledgehammer. And so for a week and a half or so, we were like standing there going, are you going to give me my jackhammer back? And maybe, every once in a while we'd take a swing with the sledgehammer just for fun and like see if we could really do it and, kept ourselves busy, at least try to pretend like we were working. Well, it's week 3 now, and we just found out that we're not getting the jackhammer back till week 8 or week 11, like you said. Like, now is the time that you realize, like, that jackhammer ain't coming back for another month at least. You could stand there and just wait for a month for it to come back, or by the time that jackhammer comes back, you could be working on the whole next activity or rock or whatever it is, because you just blasted the hell out of this one with your sledgehammer. And if you don't, guess what? You might not have a job when you come back, because your boss, who are your clients, or your boss, who are yourself, your boss, who is the future version of you that's counting on you to swing that sledgehammer, was going to go, you know what? You don't deserve the jackhammer back.
No, I love that. Actually, we're chop that up and let's send that out.
Copyright. I'm gonna cut that part out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that part, you're dead on. Here's what I'll say. I mean, find the silver lining. Our team took 21 listings in March. Mm-hmm. Right? 21 listings.
We did 20 pendings and 12 listings, man. Like, I keep trying to say that on the team every morning. I'm like, where the hell is the pullback? I don't see it. Everybody's humming along,
Yeah.
To that point, though, and this is a little bit of a side note, like, I do think real estate agents do need to be prepared for the pullback of May and June. We were on a mastermind yesterday with somebody I respect a lot, and I think especially producing agents feel a little insulated from this, because you naturally have deals on the board. Your April pendings for May and your May pendings for June, that's where you're probably gonna feel this a little bit. That's probably where you're gonna feel this in a big way. Your fallout rate's gonna be a little bit higher from deal to deal. Like,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate and disagree with you.
All right, shoot, let's go.
Because here's the thing: the listings that we signed, over half of them came when the shelters in place came in.
Agreed.
So here's what will end up happening. If you don't have your lead gen downtime, or if you're not out there generating enough leads right now, because your sphere probably is not going to be enough, right? This is where you have to go find where those motivated clients are, right? We're listing houses. We listed a home in Plano. I don't even know how many offers we have on it. Over 10, I believe, right? There's going to be continued opportunity you have to pivot your lead sources right now in order to keep where your pendings are going. Yep. Here's a lot of people, I don't care how smart they are, they don't know where this is going. I'm going to use data and look at other countries. China if you've seen their report right now in China, they're back in somewhat full swing. Their housing boom has tripled since coming out of it because there's pent up demand.
They realize they hate their house.
Oh, I think we're going to stand on the gas on the other side of this. Don't get me wrong, right? Like, I definitely think that's happening. I just think that point of pain where you'll feel the fallout rate in less deals. And look, I'll even agree with you. A prospecting based team, which you've echoed this in the entire time I've known you, is going to feel this less than people who rely a ton on their referrals of their sphere, right? Like,
yep.
And you guys are that more than anybody else I know. But I think the average real estate agent is going to take a little bit of an ass whipping first. I think you're both right. I mean, the reality is, look, you're going to have to change the way that you're doing business for a little bit, and it might be in a couple of different ways, right? One, there are fewer prospecting-based teams out there, and you're going to need a prospect to really thrive through this. So I agree with that point. I definitely think there's going to be pullback and fallout, only because there's real-world consequences. Like the hotel industry, the restaurant industry, service industry, like those are all getting hit really hard, and we're having deals fall out because people are getting furloughed and stuff like that. That will probably come back later on. But I think the reality is, I don't think either. I agree with both points to an extent. I don't think the doomsday scenario is nearly as bad as people think it is. I also think that we're going to lose a lot of deals just to normal economic impact from people that are getting furloughed or losing jobs, stuff like that. I think there'll be a momentary pullback because of that. But the reality is, what we're not going to see, and this is where agents need to wake up and pay attention, what we're not going to see is people stop trying to buy houses because they're not allowed to leave theirs. Virtual showings, virtual tours, virtual open houses, virtual listing appointments, Matterport, all that stuff is going to take over. If you told people that they had to stay inside their homes for 10 years, I guarantee you they'd find a way to find a new home eventually, right? Like, human beings are too good at adapting to their circumstances. So I agree there will be economic impacts that create a little bit of a pullback. I also agree that there's a ton of opportunity that's going to be left out there, because even if there's a pullback, there's going to be a whole lot of agents that just stop working. So there's going to be fewer competitors in the marketplace. And the underlying thought to all of that is, if you're one of the people that thinks that all of real estate is just shutting down because we can't go show houses right now, you are looking you're looking a tiger in the mouth and trying to fist fight it, because you're going to get torn up through all this if you think if that's your mindset.
Well,
I don't know why I made that weird tiger
I have
reference.
never heard.
Because we were talking about that tiger man all day.
I have yet, and by the way, I saw your other video on Facebook. I have yet to watch that show.
It's absurd.
It's bananas.
Yeah, Heather wanted to watch it last night, and I said absolutely not. I said
I get it. At this point, it's not going to be as good as everybody's made it out to be, but it is bonkers.
Yeah,
it's
I'm not.
Bananas. And I think if you watch it, like we were talking about on our video earlier today, if you watch it with the mindset that like everybody in it is dead serious, it just makes it even more bananas, because it almost seems like Spinal Tap to an extent. It almost seems like this is a joke, but it's not. These people legitimately live these lives. It's crazy, dude.
My understanding, if and I don't know, again, I haven't watched this. I don't know if any of these are really true statements, but my understanding is that guy, what is his name? Joe
Exotic.
Joe Exotic. Supposedly he is from or lived in Pilot Point, which is where my wife grew up.
Oh, I could definitely see that.
Brian Loveless, I'll give him the shout out for this. He at one point was like, he was some sort of district something for an incorporated area that became the Colony.
Yeah, Elizabeth just said the Colony. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's nuts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So here's what I see in that there's several opportunities. And by the way, with our new course that in the courses that we are releasing, but the new course selling real estate virtually, go over to touracademy.com, sign up $27 a month or $197 lifetime. That's temporary pricing. So go sign up right now. You'll be able to get into our next Zoom mastermind call, which is next Monday. But I am looking at an affiliate product for us that is it's a virtual tour 360, because everyone's promoting all these virtual tours. And look, Matterport's been around, right? And let's be real, as a listing agent and as an agent in general, when we were talking about these Matterports and these 3D stuff, we were just, in all reality, you're saying all that shit for the sellers to really be like, oh, look at all these it's like all the extra bells and whistles on a car that you're never going to use.
Right.
Like you don't know how to really use the massaging seats because you can't figure out how to get
It's
to
the fitness room at your apartment complex.
Exactly, right? We got
Yes.
this is here. Our gym you'll never use.
Yeah, exactly. And so they are right now, those virtual tours are okay. But how can you take it up a notch? There's a company I'm looking at that I'm in talks with to see about if we can get in a partnership over at Tour Academy with, where you can do that kind of that 3D rendering virtual tour, but you can also do a FaceTime type where you're talking to your clients, walking through video with them.
Oh, that's dope.
Right? Because look, you can send that to clients all day long, but if they don't really get the flow of it that well, right? They still need the audio behind it. If we're sitting here and being like, Brian, look at this chef's kitchen. You were telling me you really wanted a gas cooktop that had 100 burners on it or whatever a good chef's kitchen is, right?
Burners.
Yeah. This thing looks legit and looks great. Pricing is competitively priced, right? Especially if there is, you're losing deals and you don't have a lot of money to spend, but we still need to offer, solutions to these sellers. So that's something that when we're talking about selling virtually, we see people doing FaceTime, we see people doing walkthrough tours. That's great, but people aren't just necessarily going to buy a house unless they're relocating here and they can't travel and they have to buy something.
Yeah, that's good for the stuff that's maybe already on the market. But for your new listings coming up, there are a lot of services out there. Obviously, Matterport's one of them, but somebody still has to go into the house to do them. And Matterport is still, it's there's a price point to it that might be a limiting barrier for some people. But like, there's other companies out there. I don't want to start shouting out too many brand names. So check out The Only Real Estate Group worth being a part of, and we can certainly have a conversation about that there. We'll probably promote some stuff in there, some people that we really believe in. But like, there are other companies besides Matterport that'll do like 3D type renderings and stuff. Or basically, like, there's companies that basically merge the pictures together to give good renderings. Like, the bottom line is this: like I said before, human beings adapt. If that technology isn't perfect for the marketplace right now, look for that stuff to pop up. Like, that's what's going to change. That's what I think is going to be the lasting change in the real estate market from now on. Is I fundamentally believe that we are going to see a shift, and it might not happen right after this. This might just be the warning shot. It might happen 6 months from now, it might happen next year, whatever. We're going to see, in a very fast-paced environment, as millennials grow older and have less patience, right? They're used to a faster way of life. We're going to start to see the in-person showing in real estate become the formality right before the offer. Maybe even the formality after the offer is made. You're going to start to see people that don't want to go see 30 different houses in person. They would rather see 30 different virtual tours or narrated virtual tours or whatever, and then go see the 4 that are real, like, competitors in person, and then make their offers. Like, you're going to see a lot of that get cut down. Like, that's going to be, I think that's going to be one of the big positives for the marketplace after this, is you're going to see a lot more efficiency through technology come out.
And as real estate agents or real estate teams, a real estate agent might be like, no, the showing's an essential part of all the relationship building. We've already deemed it not. No, otherwise, we wouldn't have showing assistants, right? There are whole business models built around the fact that the lead agent doesn't even need to be there for 90% of the in-person process, right? Like, if we can figure out a way to do that efficiency, we know multiple people who run their business model this way. And I think it's a really difficult business model because the percentages just get really out of whack over time, I feel like, to do it on a team-wide level. Right. But like, if you can figure out an efficient way to bridge those gaps, and then you have a consumer coming into the market that's more open to those types of tours, virtual tours, right? They've just been living in that world. That stuff can change really fast.
Yep. I would just tell you, like, I know that business model works because my mom is a licensed agent. She shows all my buyers, and she's way better at it. If you want to not buy a house, let me show it to you, because I'm going to have zero interest in what you think about the house. I'm just not wired that way. She's amazing. She'll make you fall in love with it because that's just her personality types. The showing assistant model works like the showing, for me being the expert, is not the essential part at all.
Agreed. I mean, go ask Heather how awful of a buyer's agent I am. Right. So she will tell you up front. Elizabeth's shaking her head too. That's unfortunately just not my strengths. But again, the silver lining in this is from the marketing side, the branding side. If you're going to commit that time, right, and I know, Matt, right now, where your mindset is, where you even mentioned it before we started recording this. And by the way, let me put out there, I don't like doing this recording. I like a live show.
I like it way better to do the live show.
Feels weird not doing this live.
This is what back when we did it Be Live for that little bit of time too. That's why we got back in the studio. This is not the way our show flows. It's max level.
Yeah. But right now, I know your mindset when you lost that $700,000 or $750,000. That, like you said, it's a kick in the junk there.
Yeah.
And you kind of want to not. There's two things that happen. Either you curl up and not want to continue working right now, right? Or you double down, right? Some people, it energizes them, like, screw this. I'm not going to let this economy win. I'm not going to let this thing just take advantage of me. But where I see the opportunity is if you go out there and find the solutions to help homeowners, right? The days on market are going to increase. It's just going to happen. There's going to be a few you get multiple offers on. We can talk about all those wins all day long. But in all reality, there will be those ones that take longer. Now you have your sign, your billboard, your marketing that you can continue running to. So from a real estate business perspective, right? You have more billboards out there. You will continue taking more market share. If this is a temporary recession, right? A temporary pullback in the economy, and then we come back rip roaring and ready to go, then now like we're sitting on 41, 42 active listings right now. The rest are pending. So it's somewhere in the 50s total listings, I believe, 52, 53, 54, right? Those are signs I've got in the ground that, one, I'm not getting as many sign calls. But
I guess people just aren't out and about as much.
Yeah. But in the neighborhood, there's more people out and about in the neighborhood walking around. So if you're looking to dominate a neighborhood, there's your opportunity.
Sure.
Right? You've got more online things. You've got more bait. If you were fishing, you've got more bait now to put out there online, to write blogs, to shoot video content on, right? And to talk about the experiences of what your clients are going through. And now you've got more content than ever. If you had trouble finding content, you definitely should not have trouble finding it now.
That was something Brian and I were kind of called on yesterday too. Like, just the amount of video content that we typically put out when everything's in a normal environment, and then to have this extra free time and not really double down on taking mind share, right? Wherever it is.
Yep.
Whether it's in people's front yards or it's in social media space. That's one of the things we've really been harping on our team about is like, look, I know some of you aren't comfortable with this, but this is a whole mechanism for you to reach people right now that you're just completely ignoring. It doesn't and probably shouldn't be about business. It might look a little insensitive if everything you posted about was business, and you'd probably be lying with 90% of the stuff you're saying too, right? Like,
but you have a captive audience more now than
that's
ever.
The thing. Yes.
Yeah. Why do you think that? Look, I'm going to be real. I don't want anybody to go look at it because a lot of people's already seen it. But that awful TikTok,
dude, I've watched it
TikTok video that they talked me into doing.
Derek, can you please, since we have the actual opportunity to edit things in,
can you share this?
Yeah, or edit this in from Nick's page and just edit it in.
Right foot, now left foot. 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 One hand. Two hands. Hit your rollie. Hit that rollie. Do your dance. Now lean with it, rock with it. Lean with it, rock with it.
My favorite, like, I know that neither of you grew up like doing dances, right? So it's strange to me how two brothers so closely related and close, and like Austin's actually looking pretty fucking good in that video, and you look terrible. Like, I don't know how you got all the moves in your family, but I also did see him in another previous video, so he's had some practice, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you should have seen in that first video that he did. That was like an hour to an hour and 15 minutes of practice.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they were, trust me, because my stepdaughter, Addie.
That's quarantine living right there.
Yeah, she's a dancer. And so she's over there wanting to get it perfect. And then when we did it together. She's like, no. I'm like, look, we're going with this one. I'm done doing this shit. Right?
Oh my
gosh. First of all, I thought I nailed it. So I don't know what you're talking about. You're saying bad.
Bro, I'll tell you, like, I watched it and I felt for you because I was like, dude, I'd look way worse and I wouldn't even have the stones to do it. Like, you wouldn't see me doing it because they'd be like, dude, I'm like, no. I don't care how many people this angers. I'm not doing it.
And look, there was no alcohol.
I'll ruin this whole night and make it super awkward, but I'm not.
No alcohol involved in that one. Since your birthday, I stopped drinking. So I'm still, whenever your birthday, what was your birthday? Was it February?
It was like
February 12th, dude. That's like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. So 0 drinks since then. And so that wasn't even alcohol induced. So, I mean, maybe I would have been a lot better. Maybe I need to do a A/B split test to see how much, maybe looser I would get. But I'm seeing all these agents jump on the TikTok train, and maybe there's an opportunity just to change it up a little bit to break the monotony of just posting real estate related junk. Because
have fun with it and explore. And here's the other thing I'll say. This is a little off topic, but I just got a text message about it, so I wanted to share this. Like jumping back to like how like the doomsday scenario and how scary all this is. Like one of the things that I really want to harp on is like we're talking about stuff getting pushed down the road, and I'll go back to my point about human beings being adaptable. What we're seeing right now, we just had a deal that on Monday was dead in the water, that fell apart because what happened was the buyer was supposed to close yesterday on Tuesday. Okay. On Monday, they got furloughed when on Monday, the lender found out they got furloughed. I should say that, right? They went to do the final and verification of employment for their loan to close on Tuesday, found out they had gotten furloughed or laid off, right? Here's the deal. The mortgage lender, who is one of our preferred lenders, who's a BA, badass, right? She was able to work it out so that as long as the employer supplied a letter to her, to the underwriter, that says that as soon as this is over, that job is going to be there waiting for them on the other side. They got that letter. We're good to go. We're closing tomorrow, right? That's what we're realizing is like, this is a lot. And we're like, that kind of takes me to this situation where like, this is not a coronavirus induced recession. Right? People will get their jobs back. Things will go back. Like, honestly, the thing that nobody's talking about right now is this insane Saudi-Russian oil war that's going on. That's actually like really, if there's anything that's kind of a long-term threat to our economy, it's that more than anything, which we're really not even talking about because of coronavirus right now. But the idea that like, just because of this quarantine or this shelter in place is going to last maybe another couple months, that like, people are just not going to have anything to come back to. Like, yes, you're going to see some downsizing. I would say the bigger impact on the corporate world is going to be like a lot of people are going to keep working from home after this. I see corporations downsizing their physical footprint in a big way because they realize that efficiency hasn't really been lost from having people work from home. But lenders are going to figure out a way to make this stuff work, right? Like we're going to see more mortgage products that come out where as long as there's a verification of something or whatever, like they're going to do everything they can to keep deals together. And that's why I say, like, if you're sitting back and thinking that the whole world is falling apart and you're just like sitting around kind of pouting all day, like just understand that the high level operators are still finding ways to get things done, like even in these crazy times, you know? And, you know, the other point to make on that is that we keep using that word recession, like the coronavirus is causing a recession. Like, I think we get really jaded because of 2008 and in the Great Recession and everything. Like, understand that housing doesn't always just collapse in a recession. It doesn't work that way. Like, that was a very specific culmination of events. Like, let's start from the beginning. Here's what's called a mortgage-backed security. Like, no, I won't do that. I'm not going to waste 4 hours of your time. But understand that that was a recession that was precipitated by very, very specific incidences that have been happening since the I would say like late 70s when mortgage-backed securities were invented, right? That was building up a bubble that the culmination of which ended up in the massive default of millions of loans across the country. And that was specifically tied to people's ability to pay for their housing, right? Like that doesn't happen in every recession. Like the tech bubble did not really destroy housing prices. Like there was a slight dip, but like not like what we saw in 2008, between 2008 and 2010 or 11, right? Like the tech bubble bursting was almost just as bad economically as the next recession, which came before it, but it just didn't have a whole lot to do with housing. So like this idea that the whole real estate market is going to collapse because of this coronavirus-induced recession, like we really like to think about these doomsday scenarios. And I think a lot of times the reason we have this weird perversion to doomsday scenarios because it gives us an excuse to not put our best foot forward and just figure it the fuck out. Well, we're figuring it the fuck out.
So you brought up, you know, jobs and businesses going, you know, a smaller footprint. Do we start seeing real estate agents and consumers being more accepting of this virtual meeting in the beginning of the relationship, right? Is it going to be more acceptable to say, hey, Matt, before, you know, instead of me coming out there, how about we hop into a Zoom call? You can, let's talk about your house first. Let's get the commitment. Then once the commitment, then I'll come over, take a look at your house, and we'll nail down pricing, or we'll send our pricing specialist, Brian over there, and they'll knock that out, right? Because I have seen.
I think smart agents will.
Yeah.
I think the consumer will be okay with it before an agent would be. Like, I think there's a lot of agents who are still just going to hang on to some of their old bags, right? But like agents who are willing to innovate that way, I think the consumer is going to be a lot more open to it on the other side of this, because they're going to have been doing it for a few months.
Sure.
Right? Like the amount of people who are having to figure Zoom out, right? Like you said it earlier, Nick, you can't find a mic stand that you want right now because they're all sold out, because everybody's buying setups for their house or whatever. Like
webcams are all sold out right now.
It's
like
craziness, right?
Yeah. If I want to upgrade my webcam, I can't do that.
So everybody's got
gotta
a couple $100 worth of gear and
Yeah.
opportunity to like understand a new technology, one that they might find enjoyable. So who knows, man?
I think that all we need to do is to figure out something, some of the things that are going to happen in the future is just look to the past, right? Like there was a time when like it was unheard of for your buyers to drive themselves around during showings. Like nobody gets in my car nowadays. It's bananas. Like, you think I want to get murdered? Like, absolutely not. Like, no, it's not because of that. It's just, it's become more customary, right? Most of the buyers that I work with are actually more comfortable driving themselves, so they can just like go straight home after. But like there was a time when like that was super unheard of. There's a time where the MLS was in a big book at your broker's office, and you had to like go there physically to like look at the houses that were available. Like if we go real far back, like there's just insane stuff that eventually had to change. And whether it changed like out of necessity or it changed out of just, efficiency or whatever, like things will always change. And I think, yeah, maybe in the beginning it'll be a little weird, but that's sort of what I think of all this is that, to your point, Nick, like that's not going to happen right away. I don't think like the day after, the quarantine is over, that people are just like, nah, I'm staying inside forever. Like we'll just do everything virtually. But I do think that people will go back out into the real world. They'll try to go back out, and do their lives the normal way again. And then somewhere along the way, maybe a few months down the road, maybe a year down the road, and who knows how long it'll take, somebody's going to wake up and go like, you know what, this virtual stuff wasn't that bad. Like it actually seemed a little easier. Like slowly over time. Yeah. I think that because of this, maybe 18 months from now, you're going to see it be pretty customary to do a lot more stuff virtually, including meetings, showings, all type of stuff. Because people will go back to doing it the regular way, and they'll be like, why were we ever doing it this way? Like, I got a webcam. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and look, the longer that this plays out, the more that we get used to being around. If you have kids, I will tell you the blessing and the curse right now is being around, my kids all the time. Right. So that is cool. I don't feel as guilty. I mean, I am up here at the office today just because, I moved everything to my home office, and then I noticed my webcam fighting with my Mac. And so I'm like, screw it. I had a whole bunch of Zoom calls a day to mess with. But that is a cool thing, that it's, not as guilty of putting the hours in, because we talk about we're actually more efficient, right? We can hop on Zoom call to Zoom call and knock out our meetings, get that in, and make sure.
That's the other thing. Imagine being able to have 15 listing appointments a day.
Exactly.
If you were so inclined.
And I know that even before this, Elizabeth Austin was working on just focusing more and more on those virtual Zoom FaceTime meetings anyway, because it was more about efficiency, right? Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to have to drive across town, and then sit there and be like, all right, now I didn't get the listing, and now you wasted 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Now you can, but you both don't have to worry about drive time.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
You can, as long as your internet connection and audio is good, which I did a Zoom call yesterday. The guy's audio didn't work, so we just did it over the cell phone, and then just kept the audio, the video part going. So there are solutions to that, and then we can show our listing and buyer presentation a lot easier. You can actually show your marketing off a lot better.
Yep.
You can ebb and flow a lot easier utilizing technology, which I see the biggest opportunity, because I know a lot of real estate agents, including myself, talk about how we embrace technology, but then we go on listing presentations and we're not using technology in our presentations.
Exactly.
Right. We're still using paper presentations and everything else. But if you're a tech person, you're like, that's something that I've always struggled with internally.
That's a good point, because I still use a paper presentation. I guess that makes sense.
Paper presentation that says you embrace and you're on cutting edge technology.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
So
it's pretty funny.
As we wrap up here, first off, again, we can't stress enough. This is the time to skill up.
Yep.
Right. Don't waste it on Call of Duty unless you want to jump on at 10 p.m. at night and come join us.
By us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're not really. We're getting smoked.
I'm terrible.
But go to touracademy.com, sign up, $27 a month. That is our special pricing, or $197 lifetime access. That is an amazing deal. In fact, we struggled with even putting that pricing out there. These new courses that we're putting out is stuff that's working. Again, the Good Home team took 21 listings in March.
Yeah.
Right. You know, the Herc DFW put 20 under contract in March.
Yep.
Right. So what you want to learn from what is actually working right now. Guess what? Once we get all through this, that stuff is still going to continue to work and then some. It's like being on steroids.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So touracademy.com, go sign up. If you're not part of our Facebook group, go to the only real estate group worth being a part of. And then I want to do one last question. I want to ask one last question or favor. Actually, two favors. I'm going to be a little bit greedy. I want to ask two favors.
Two favors.
We are recording this today, April 1st. So April 16th is our 1 year anniversary of the only real estate group worth being a part of.
That's crazy.
That's right.
Yep. So that, our Facebook group, our goal, we want to be at over 5,000 group members. We are close. So please go and join if you're not a part of it. And if you are part of it and you're listening, please add more real estate professionals to this. We're starting to see a lot of questions, a lot of value adds in there. A lot of people asking about, have you heard about the lender change guidelines? Have you heard about
some of the lender questions in there have been awesome.
Absolutely really gold.
Yeah.
Right. And then my other request, go to iTunes and review us, please.
Yes.
Nice reviews, por favor.
I know people are listening on iTunes. Derek tells us.
Yeah, you got nothing else going on. Give us a review.
But no one's leaving reviews. So go leave us a review. I know that you ask your clients for reviews and you get frustrated when they don't.
Yeah.
Just asking.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. We're just asking here.
Only leave good ones, though.
Yeah, if you have a bad review, don't leave that.
Keep that to yourself.
Just email
Barry.
I was actually there is the two things that
hadn't come in a while.
I went back and listened to some of our first episodes when we were recording in that garage.
Yeah.
And Barry came up a lot.
He came
a
up
lot.
And Barry's come full circle. Barry made an appearance again during this epidemic.
The world has been introduced to him, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
I think we were underground Barry fans.
Did you know that Barry's actually dead?
For real?
Strangle himself.
Yeah. No, Barry died, I think, in like 2009.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, stay hard, brother.
Yeah, literally.
Or don't.
Yeah.
Relax.
If you don't know about Barry, we're going to do a little throwback and email Matt at whatever your email address is.
No, this show is not that important, but still, I'm not giving it out for Barry photos.
Do we
Derek, feel free to cut 90% of this out since we're not doing it live today.
Do we have a billionaire's idea?
I have this idea. Hold on. Quick pause.
And now, Brian Force's billionaire movie something.
I have this idea. Oh, see, that's how I know when you're a fan of the billionaire ideas, when you crack a drink to settle in. Here's the idea. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do a lot of stuff with cash. So I'm going to need cash a lot. So I'm going to go to the bank a lot. I'm not going to need to go to the bank a lot. I could have people bring me the cash because I'm so rich, but I'm going to like to go to the bank because every single time I'm going to make a spectacle. And I might even go to a bank that I own. So like it's just even more hilarious. But I'm going to do this probably once a week. So they're going to get used to it. And they're just going to get so tired of it. Every time I go to the bank, I'm going to pull up in like a 1930s gangster Rolls Royce, and me and like 5 other dudes are going to blast in with like rubber Tommy guns. And I'm going to be an old school gangster with a cigar. And I'm going to be like, reach for the sky. And all the fucking people in the bank are going to panic because they think there's a legitimate bank robbery going on. All the tellers are behind it. Like, oh my gosh, Brian is like, is it noon on Wednesday? Of course. And they're like, calm down, it's not a bank. And I'm like, yes, it is. See? And I'm talking like super 1930s gangster. And I'm like, give me all the gold bars in the safe. And like, I'm going to legitimately do this once a week probably. Like it's going to be on the news and everything, and they'd be like, it's going to be hilarious. That's about as far as I thought it through. I have this funny thing about terrifying other people, while other people are just so bored of my shenanigans, like they're not buying into it at all. So
I like.
I think we can
aspect
develop
of
that
it.
one a little bit. Yeah.
I had a Scrooge McDuck view in my head with you like just diving into a pool of gold coins for a
That's
second.
basically, yeah. That's what it's going to be. That would immediately kill you, though. I don't know. Like I know
Yeah,
that the rest of that cartoon isn't super realistic either, but I never understood how he didn't immediately break his neck when he dove.
What's not realistic about it?
I mean, I dive into my gold coins all the time.
All the time, yeah. There's a giant goose guy who flies a prop plane. What do you want? It's true.
That's also strange. Why didn't he just fly himself? I never thought about
They're
that.
all
aspect.
ducks. It's weird. They wear jackets. Strange, but no bottoms. It's
Well,
odd.
I can't wait till we get back in studio. 'Cause
Me
we probably
neither.
got 2 or 3 more of these shows.
I don't
Oh,
think it's
dude,
gonna be
in
5 or
your
6.
dreams, I think we. I hope
6,
Brian's
7,
right.
8.
I think we're probably sitting closer to
For a little while. But whatever.
Can we at least superimpose ourselves into the studio, Derek?
No, Derek, figure that out.
We need to start. That's what we need to start doing. That's how we're going to grow our Instagram. With just photoshopping ourselves in the studio every week.
100%.
D, take us out.